Hello, how's everybody doing? I am definitely making this video because I got some of my contacts, some of my people who've been seeing some of the breads that we've been making here with our amazing Fenix OGX from Organo. They've been shooting messages all over the world and stuff, and I mean, I'm loving it. I'm loving the feedback that people have been getting about our breads and everything. And somebody, a few of you asked if we could do a video, so here we are. We're going to start doing a few videos on some of our breads and stuff today. One of the most requests for people that wanted to know more was our cinnamon loaf bread. So here we go. We're going to make us amazing cinnamon loaf bread today. And the recipe for the ingredients is real simple. You only need about, I think it's like 6 things for the bread besides the water. You got butter, the OGX Fenix shake mix is the star of the show, of course. Flour, you can use white or wheat, and we're gonna definitely make videos for each one and stuff so you can see the difference and stuff. It's not much to it. Real simple, real simple. So let's get started making some bread.
Yeah, what he said.
This is my little man right here. He loves definitely eating a lot of bread, so I'm definitely don't mind him eating this one. What I like to do always is start off with some warm water. If it's too warm, that if it's warmer than what you would recommend a baby bottle for, I wouldn't recommend putting it in your bread. You kill your yeast if your water's too hot. If it's too cold, it'll take a little bit longer for your yeast to activate and start to rise and everything. But, get it nice and warm enough to where you can put your finger in it and it won't bother you too much. But, it's definitely, like I say, you just don't want it to be cold, but you definitely don't want it to be too hot. If it's cold, you wait a little bit longer for it to rise, still good. But if it's too hot, you're going to kill your yeast. So, again, warm water, about 8.5 ounces of warm water. Let's get started here. We got a half teaspoon of salt. We're going to grab 2 teaspoons of sugar. That's like a heaping teaspoon right there. So we're definitely not going to put this one up too high because you don't want to put it. I don't like to have the breads too sweet and everything. Your yeast, again, 2 teaspoons of yeast.
Yeast looks brown.
What's that?
Yeast looks brown?
Yes, it is. And again, when you mix your water in, about 8.5 ounces of water. Again, you don't want your water to be too hot because you will kill your yeast. And just whisk it together. Get everything mixed up in there with your, your sugar, salt, and your yeast. Mix it up in the water. And I always do this first, so by the time you finish mixing up your flour with your OGX mix, with your shake mix, your yeast, you're going to be able to see it activating on your water already. Next thing I always do, grab your OGX shake mix. I only use 2, sometimes 3 tablespoons of the OGX shake mix. But in this bread right here, I'm only using 2 tablespoons of the OGX vanilla shake mix. It is amazing. While you're eating your bread, you're going to be able to taste the light essence of the vanilla shake in it. I've had people tell me that you can't put a protein shake in your breads and pizzas and pies and other desserts and make it taste good. They hadn't stepped foot in my kitchen. I'm going to show y'all how we're going to take a protein shake and make an amazing loaf of bread. Next thing I do, I always measure this part in grams when it comes to putting your flour in. 4 130 grams of flour. $430 of flour. Then take the scale out the way because I don't need it anymore. I always mix up the flour and the shake mix very well inside of the bowl while you're mixing up your flour and your shakes. You're good so that you sure that everything, all your powdered essences get mixed up real well so that it'll be definitely evenly distributed through your bread. Again, you can measure this part or not. Most of the times I don't. Sometimes I do because just to show people, how simple it is to do it. I grab about 2 tablespoons of the hello. I was about to say strawberries. You can put strawberries in it if you want to. It's kind of weird to me, strawberries and cinnamon. I don't know. So nonetheless, about 2 tablespoons of the cinnamon and sugar mix. Just mix it up real well while it's still dry. It's just to make sure to get the cinnamon and sugar flavor throughout your entire bread. And I'm going to show you how we get the swirl in it a little bit later. That's in another step. But as you can see here, the yeast is definitely activating already. It has that smell to it and stuff. You know exactly when your yeast is activating and doing what it do. So right now, I know a lot of people usually like to use your hands to mix it up in the bowl, but I always use one of my spatulas, or one of my, small rods and stuff like that, just to mix it up real well inside the bowl. And waste a few things, because it don't really matter. Because I'm gonna be putting some flour on the counter in a minute to make sure that to make sure that your bread don't stick to your counter, or should I say your dough doesn't stick to your counter. And while I'm doing this part right here, another thing that I do, because I noticed I did mention we put some butter in it, but you hadn't seen me drop the butter in just yet. This is the step right here that I usually add the butter. I like to get my butter. I usually set it in the pan that I'm gonna be baking in, just to let it melt and get soft, so that whenever you're ready to start using it, it's durable to put in your bread. Some people like to make it like to make it wet, liquefy it and mix it in earlier. Totally up to you when it comes to when you want to add your butter in. If you want to, make it liquid and add it in at the beginning, it's totally up to you. Again, this is just how I like to do it. And since I started doing it this way, I'm yet to make a loaf of bread that he doesn't enjoy. All right, let me get some flour and sprinkle it on my board. Just take everything that's in your bowl. It's not liquefied and stuff yet. I know some people are as talented as it can be, where you can add everything, liquid, water, everything directly onto your board, and you don't have to worry, and they don't worry about anything spilling off onto the floor. I'm not that good. So, because I know I'm not that good, I'm not even going to challenge it to say that I can make that happen. So right here is whenever I really get the chance to mix all of the stuff together. kneading it by hand. I know some people like to use the machine. You can use the machine if you got a machine. I don't have one. I'm not going to get one. This for me is like it's part of my daily exercise, I guess you could say, because I make a loaf of bread here at home almost every day. We love to eat bread, and I prefer to make some good bread at home without all the preservatives and stuff in it. You know, something that I was talking about one day with my wife and stuff, and the kids. We was all talking about the different breads that we enjoyed and everything. And I really started thinking about it. Some loaves of breads and stuff, you can leave them on the counter or in your bread box or whatever for weeks and sometimes months and stuff. And some of these breads from some of these bread companies won't go bad. I mean, no mold-free breads and everything. I mean, it's still pretty much soft and good enough to eat for most of them. Some of them, I know sometimes you're just taking, it's good, you know, you just toast it a little bit and it still smells and looks good. I'm yet to see a homemade loaf of bread that's going to last weeks to months or stuff in the cupboard and still be good enough for you to eat. Simple kneading is not, not a lot of work to it and everything. Just keep rolling your dough and kneading it in and everything. If it starts to get too sticky for you, just grab a little bit of dough. A little bit of flour. Sprinkle it on top of your bread. I like to do, put them in my hands and stuff and roll them in my hands because I'm going to be touching the bread with both of my hands anyway. I usually do this for about 10 minutes or so. You can do it with one hand, switch hands. I've seen people, do it all kinds of different ways. Like I say, it's totally up to you. Knead it by hand, put it in a machine, let the machine do the work. Whichever way is best for you. This process right here in the actual works for getting the bread made, maybe altogether you're going to be doing probably about 30-40 minutes of actually touching the bread along the way to finished product, if that long. I may be overstating the time, but like I say, it's real simple. You ain't got nothing to worry about. Your bread is going to come out good. And to say this as well, I know sometimes whenever you do something the first couple of times and stuff, it don't come out like you want it to, might come out too dense, might come out overdone, whatever the case may be. First time I made a loaf of bread, the first few times I made my own personal loaf of bread, didn't come out like I wanted it to. Trust me, I threw away many loaves of bread. Sometimes it was too salty. Sometimes it was just too dense. Sometimes it didn't rise like I wanted it to. You got a lot of things that could go down that could happen with your bread that just won't make it come out like you want it to. And you got a couple of times I feel that I just probably didn't knead it long enough, But whatever it is, just learn from what you do and, go back at it, make it right for the next time. The cinnamon smell in this is amazing, y'all. It has an amazing blend of cinnamon and vanilla smell that I guess to say mingling together in the bread dough and everything. And I know y'all probably can't see it as well as I can, but you can see all of the cinnamon speckles throughout the bread. One of the things that I like to do, to check and see if it's ready to for the next step and everything, just tap it down a little bit right there. And if it rises back up pretty good, don't push your finger all the way down in and stuff like that. And, because that's not going to rise back up. You pushing, you're just packing it back down. But, get it after you knead it and everything real good and stuff, get it into a nice ball and just press down on it and everything like that. And let it rise back up. If it rises back up, you good for the next, but again, don't rush it. Take your time. Enjoy being in the kitchen. Another thing that I like doing with the butter that's already melted, butter your bowl. And if you notice, this is the exact same bowl that I just scraped everything out of. I just grabbed a soft piece of butter, put the bread in there, and my favorite hiding spot for this to sit, relax, and rise and everything is in the microwave. So I'm about to go over there, put this in the microwave, let it sit for maybe about 30, 45 minutes. I'll keep going back and checking and everything. You wanted to let it sit long enough for your bread to rise 2 or 3 times of what you first start off with. And we'll be back to that step in just a moment. I'll be back. Let me go put this to rise. All right, we're creeping back onto the scene. As you can see, this has risen quite beautifully. I have already buttered my bread pan. One of the things that I like to do, I always put my loaf pan right on the side of where I am going to be pressing and forming my bread. You want to press it down and form it. Some people use rolling pins or whatever. I like to use my hands. You want to press it down. While you're pressing, you're going to feel like little pops in the dough, because you're actually popping and removing air bubbles out of the bread. Some people like to bake that in there too, make the bread fluffier or whatever. While I got all of that done, see, doing this right here, sprinkling the cinnamon in the dough right now is what's actually going to give you the swirl in the bread. After you sprinkle it down on there, all you gotta do is roll it up. Roll it up, kind of keep it kind of tight and everything, not too tight, but kind of tight, just so you can keep the consistency of the bread loaf all the way through. Once you get to the end, I like to grab it, pull it over, and this is going to go into your bread pan just like that. See, you got it nice and rolled up. Put it in your bread pan. And once you get it in your pan, you're going to mash it down a little bit more to make it fit closer to your pan. And being that it's, rising a little bit, it might not be a little bit, might not be totally perfect all the way down in there, but it's all good. It's cool. Don't worry about it. Whenever you're baking it, it's going to fit a little bit more. But even before then, after you get it all down in there, what you do, I like to put it back in the microwave and let it sit for probably another 30 minutes or so. Give it time to rise. What I do, I don't usually worry about the time. I let this rise until it gets to a little bit higher than the top of the pan. All right. So I'm about to go back over there, put this back in the microwave, let it do what let it do its rising, and we'll be back for the next step so I can show you exactly what it's going to look like. So just have some fun. Let's make some bread. Look, back again to show you where we're at right now. Like I said, I don't really watch the time. I just want to be able to check it. Whenever the bread starts to get a little bit higher than the bread pan and everything, what I do right at that time, I take it and put it in the oven. Whenever I put it in the oven is when I turn the temperature on. With different elevations and places around the world where people are going to be making this bread, the time and the temperature are going to vary a little bit. But here in Southwest Louisiana, I'm putting this in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. It's going to be probably about 30 minutes. You know, again, the time and temperature is going to vary wherever you are around the world. Again, like I said, let's make some bread. All right, I just wanted to point this out right quick, just for a brief moment while the bread is in the oven. Again, at that amazing stage of chemistry, doing what it does best. The reason why I put it in right where it is, getting to the top of the bread pan, is because if you put it in right then, while the oven is starting to bake, yeah, he likes some good bread too. While the oven is starting to heat up, the bread is going to continue to rise a little bit more, and it's going to be delicious again. So, like I say, we're going to have a good time, and we're going to keep making some good bread. We'll be back. Just got the bread out the oven, and I just wanted to show y'all what it's going to be.
And I'm back too.
Look, he's back too. He smells the bread. Anywho, amazing loaf of bread right here. We're going to put it down, let it cool a bit before we cut it. And we're going to be back in a few minutes to show y'all what it's going to look like on the inside, because, you know, it's just going to be amazing. I already know. He's here because he wants to, how you say, he always gets to taste the first cut on the bread and everything. So,
yeah, that's true.
he's waiting. We'll be back in a few minutes. We're going to let this cool off for a bit, and we'll be right back. All right, y'all. I'm back. I got to get this bread cut because my son's walking around here mad at the world because he knows the bread is out the oven and he wants to eat some bread. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this right quick so y'all can see what I'm talking about, because this is amazing, y'all. I mean, it's soft, it's delicious, smells great. Y'all, let's get out there and make some good bread. Make some bread that's good for you. And like I say, you can make amazing bread with a protein shake as the base of your batter. This stuff tastes great. Y'all take it easy. We'll be back for another bread. Later in the week, we're going to be coming back doing some bread. We're actually going to be making our own pizza dough. And yes, indeed, we're going to be making pizza dough with the protein shake, with our vanilla OGX Fenix protein shake. This stuff is going to be in the pizza. Tastes incredible. You're going to love it. I'll see y'all when we get back for our next one. And on pizza day, we're actually going to be doing cinnamon rolls too. Y'all be back. Check it out.